Welcome to AI Finances, where we explore the fascinating world of crime and finance. In this segment, we will present you with 3 gripping stories, one of which is a true crime story in the 1700s, while the other is a fictional tale inspired by the same era. Now, it's up to you to decide which is fact and which is fiction. Can you use your knowledge of history and crime to distinguish between the 2 stories? Or will you be left guessing until the end? Story 1. In 1724, London was rocked by a notorious crime spree orchestrated by the infamous criminal mastermind Jonathan Wild. He was the leader of a gang of thieves known as the thief-takers who would help recover stolen goods for a fee while also running a network of thieves under his control. Wild's most notorious accomplice was Jack Shepherd, a daring thief who had earned a reputation for his audacious prison escapes. Together, they committed a series of burglaries across the city, using their insider knowledge of the criminal underworld to evade capture. In one daring heist, Wild and Shepherd broke into a wealthy merchant's house, stealing a large amount of cash and valuable goods. They had carefully planned the operation, casing the joint and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When the coast was clear, they used their expertise in lockpicking to gain entry to the property, leaving no trace behind. Their exploits soon caught the authorities' attention, who began searching for the pair. But Wild and Shepherd were always one step ahead, using disguises and aliases to evade detection. However, the partnership between Wild and Shepherd is doomed to end in betrayal. Wild turned on Shepherd, betraying him to the authorities in exchange for a hefty reward. Shepherd was captured and sentenced to death for his crimes, but he escaped prison 4 times before being recaptured and executed. Meanwhile, Wild's criminal empire began to crumble. One of his gang members, who had grown resentful of Wild's greed and ruthless tactics, turned him into the authorities. Wild was arrested and charged with being an accessory to theft, and he was found guilty and sentenced to death. The story of Jonathan Wild and Jack Shepherd became a cautionary tale about the perils of greed and corruption. Their daring exploits and ultimate downfall inspired countless works of literature and drama, and their names became synonymous with the criminal underworld of 18th-century London. Story 2. In the 1700s, Paris was renowned for its luxurious palaces and extravagant parties. However, amidst the glittering ballrooms and candlelit halls, a shadowy underworld of criminals and thieves lurked. At the center of this underworld was Le the king, a master thief and leader of a notorious gang of cutpurses and pickpockets. His latest target was the palace of the Duc de Valois, a wealthy nobleman known for his lavish lifestyle and love of luxury. Le had been planning the heist for months, using his extensive network of informants and insiders to gather information on the palace's security measures and the layout of the rooms. He recruited a team of expert thieves, each with their specialized skills, to help him pull off the heist. On the night of the party, Le and his gang slipped into the palace disguised as guests, blending in seamlessly with the crowd. They waited until the guests had retired to their rooms, then crept through the hallways, using their lock-picking tools to open the doors to the bedrooms. Working swiftly and quietly, the gang made their way through the palace, carefully selecting their targets and using their expert sleight to steal jewelry, gold coins, and other valuable items. They knew they had to act quickly before the guests woke and realized they had been robbed. But as they were escaping, one of the guests woke up and saw one of the gang members fleeing with a valuable necklace. The guest quickly alerted the authorities, and a chase through the streets of Paris ensued. Le and his gang fled through the winding alleyways and back streets, their pursuers hot on their heels. They used their expert knowledge of the city to evade capture, darting down narrow alleys and over rooftops. But eventually, the police caught up with them in a dead-end alley. The gang members drew their swords and fought back fiercely, taking down several officers before they were finally subdued. Le and several of his accomplices were brought to trial and sentenced to life imprisonment. The stolen goods were returned to their rightful owners, and the heist became the talk of the town. However, the legacy of LaRoi and his gang lived on, inspiring countless stories and legends about the daring exploits of Paris's most notorious thieves. Story 3. In 1775, a notorious highwayman named James McLean was finally caught and brought to trial for his crimes. James McLean was born in Scotland in 1724, and as a young man, he joined the army, where he became skilled in the use of weapons and horse riding. However, after leaving the army, he turned to a life of crime and became a highwayman, preying on wealthy travelers on the roads outside London. McLean was known for his good looks, charm, and intelligence, which he used to trick his victims and gain their trust before robbing them at gunpoint. He would often dress in fine clothes and use aliases to disguise himself, allowing him to blend in with the wealthy crowds he targeted. His most audacious heist came in 1750 when he and his accomplices robbed the Duke of Newcastle and his family as they were traveling by coach. McLean held the Duke's son on his lap and chatted with the family, putting them at ease before taking their valuables and making off into the night. McLean's luck eventually ran out, however, when he was caught in the act of robbing a coach in London. He was arrested and brought to trial, where his charm and wit won him a reprieve from the gallows. Instead, he was transported to Australia, where he continued to cause trouble by stealing and smuggling. McLean eventually became ill and died in 1770 at the age of 32. Despite his crimes, he was remembered as a dashing and charismatic figure, with many people fascinated by his life of crime and daring exploits. His story was immortalized in literature and drama, and he became a legendary figure in the annals of 18th-century crime. And that's it for today's segment on AI finances. We hope you enjoyed the stories and were able to guess correctly which one was the true crime story from the 1700s. Remember, history is full of fascinating tales of crime and finance, and we'll be back next week with more thrilling stories to explore. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.